All right, looks like we are just a minute after. I'm just going to wait for a couple more people to join, then Stephen will bring up the 2025 annual research plan. I'll just wait for a few more people to join for some housekeeping. Okay. Well, as everyone is joining, thank you so much for joining us today. We're really excited to share this 2025 research plan with everyone. Just a few things to keep in mind. Everyone is muted throughout the duration of this meeting. However, you can drop questions in the chat at any time and we can get to them at the end of the presentation. And if you don't want to use the chat feature, please feel free to raise your hand and we can also unmute you. We will be we will be distributing the recording. Sorry, I am looking at someone outside. We will be distributing the recording, not the document shared on screen, but please feel to review and share as needed for that recording. With that, I will pass on to Stephen. And Stephen, just to note, you are sharing your team screen and not the document.
Okay, very good. Thank you all, and good afternoon. For those of you that aren't muted, can you see my screen okay? Or is everyone muted? Maybe everyone's muted. Okay.
We can see Stephen.
Okay, you're going to have to let me know if anyone asks a question because I won't be able to see it. So I'm going to run through the 2025 annual research plan. We've been doing this annually, sort of as a look ahead for the next year. Our technology advisory group has already reviewed, provided some comments, and so this is sort of a final opportunity to provide any input or just understand what's going on. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time going through the background of this. It's very much the same as our prior plans. I will note that there were changes made to I'm going to say, right, it's not the SUSE data. And so this section got updated as far as usage by customer segment. So this is all relatively new. There's a breakdown by building type, which goes down the following page. And then there's a breakdown by in use within the building type. I'm not going to go through this, but just an FYI, this is a new update for this plan. So the one thing that sort of influences us in the program beyond the program restraints is some of the policy that is developing and changing fairly rapidly. So some of this policy has been in place now for a couple of years. Some of it's been updated. We have highlighted it in the plan just so it's clear what's guiding some of our things. So I'm not going to go over the older stuff. I will go over something that's actually a very general policy that applies not only to gas, but potentially to all the energy efficiency programs for the IOUs within California. There's been a move over several months that sort of has changed direction a couple times, but most recently the governor has issued an executive order which is requiring that the CEC make changes, which does not impact this program directly, but it's also requested that the PUC, which oversees the funding that supports this program, look at all non-cost effective energy efficiency programs. Now, they're doing that in the requirement that it cannot impact GHG goals. So no one really knows where this is going, but it's sort of a to sort of an overarching conversation. The next one is sort of updates to some of the rules. So the second group is CARB, Air Quality Code and Codes and Standards. And so they issued an updated plan and rules this year. And this regulates and lays out a schedule for water heaters and appliances, restaurant cooking equipment. And basically, it's requiring zero or near zero emissions. There is a timeline out, and I'm going to say it's like 20 to 30 years in some of these things, depending upon the situation. But you can see some of these dates are actually much closer than that. And those are, of course, the ones that, influence sort of what we're looking at in the GET program. So the next part of this is updates to California's Title 24. So for those of you that are aware of this, the Title 24 2025 is not actually, it's adopted a year ahead of schedule, so it won't be effective until January 1st of 2026. But now we have sort of an understanding of what some of these requirements are. A lot of this relates to making buildings more electrification ready, I guess I'll say. Solar pool, thermal pool heating is one of those things that's a new addition. And then there's requirements on heat pumps and whatnot. In our tag, the question was brought up about whether there is any requirement for resiliency. And we're not aware of anything within the building code that requires it. There's certain building types that, use backup diesel generators and whatnot, but it's not necessarily any code requirement per se. I thought that was an interesting comment, so I figured I'd verbalize it here. And let's see. Okay, and this is just the general restrictions on what the GET program can do. This has not changed, but you can see we can't do everything under the sun. But there's quite a few things we can do in the world of natural gas appliances, or fuel burning appliances, I think is the term we're using. So anyway, there's 2 or 3 things that have changed since we went through this process a year ago. So now I'm going to go down into the actual goals. This part, by the way, has been updated, but it's not necessarily a whole, anything new. It was updated last year, I don't think this year. Our vision, I guess I'll reiterate this first, is just to, investigate natural gas technologies that have the potential to enact positive impact on global change. And, it's a collaborative effort with technology development and other stakeholders to align the gas IOU needs with manufactured product development efforts. So that's just a little bit of the vision, preface, and the development of the plan. So as I go into the goals, a lot of the goals got carried over for various reasons, some of which, of course, they're obviously big end uses that are important. Others are, we had projects that didn't move forward, didn't complete for a variety of reasons. So some of those are noted, but the general layout is very similar to what we did last year. And then on the other end, we did remove some things from the 2025 plan because we figured they were not a good fit or they're not at the right TRL. This is an update. Sorry, I'm not getting to the goals as quick as I planned to, but anyway, these are a summary of the projects we did, and this was as of about a month ago. We've now launched, I believe, about 3 or 4 new projects. But you can see sort of the breakdown. Water heating is the big one, followed by whole building and process loads. And some of these are all different types of projects. Some are field, some are labs, some are market studies. So a mix. For those of you that are not aware, this is where all the statewide ET projects are posted, both gas and electric. And this is the legacy site, which isn't not used, but it was the original ET project before the third-party program design was developed. The projects are all actually copied over to this one, so this actually is a compendium of all the projects before and new. These are just the ones done in the last roughly 2 years. So, okay, now I'm going to start going into changes. This is a functional change we made this year, which is to launch what we're calling agile research projects. So rather than doing everything as a long drawn out study, we wanted to be able to do very short studies that might give us an indication as to whether to move forward on something or to not move forward. So we're doing the first 2 of those this year, and then next year we'll probably expand it to a few more. So some of the projects, I think the ones for this year are actually in the goals, just sort of assuming that, that this is part of the launch. Other projects will be pretty quickly developed and scoped and probably not directly addressed in this research plan. So now I'm going to go through the specific goals and let me know. Are there any questions at this point? Those of you that can tell me, let me know.
There's nothing in the chat.
Okay. All right, so the first area is water heating technologies. This has pretty much been in here since we started. Most of this is just being rolled over from 24 to 25. We have had some discussions on sort of the details of some of them, and as we're getting findings from both field and lab work, that will influence it. But fundamentally, the goals are similar. I'll point out if there's any new ones. Let's see, the goals are okay. So goal 1. So goal 1 is very similar. Field study, we've got 2 field studies. Well, 2 gas water heating field studies, 1 set of smart pumps, and other things underway. Some of these had customer delays. One project had a number of projects unrelated to the technology, and we are looking at actually doing an extension project on it because we're going to try to optimize the new technology a little better. So that's sort of the first goal of field work. Data for measuring offerings. So this would include ultimately what would go into a measure package. And so this would fall in 3 categories. Combi systems, under absorption, water heating, and combi systems. Absorption, adsorption. We're looking at doing some lab testing for a unit that this is, earlier on the development cycle. The absorption or both, the 2 we're looking at right now are commercially available. And then a gas-fired thermal compression unit. No work scoped at this point, but we know they're in the market and being worked on. So as I mentioned, the absorption and adsorption are the ones we're primarily focusing on at this point. So moving along, and I don't believe this has changed. Yeah, here we go. I don't think there's been a lot of changes on this, with the one exception that we have added looking at hydrogen blends, because these are now being tested in a number of states. And so the anticipation of of this and the need to have that data available is growing. So part of our scoping is now doing both natural gas and various hydrogen blends on this type of equipment. We're probably going to be testing up to about a 30% hydrogen mix. Yes. And I think as we did last year, we're going to look at CO2 hourly load shapes to sort of understand the emissions essentially along with the actual EE part of the measure, proposed measures, I guess. So the next part is modeling support. So we continue on a project we launched a couple years ago. This is modeling for various reasons. The project has been, I won't say delayed, but it's taken a lot longer to get it completed than thought. So it's still on this. So we've been working with the GTI developed Energy Plus heat pump model. There have been some recent tweaks to it that'll better characterize variations on the data. We continue to do lab testing, as I said, both with natural gas and hydrogen on a couple of units, but it'll be used to help calibrate and check out that model. NREL, this is the RESSTOC project that's been going on for a couple of years. We had to make some updates to the model and updates to the data, and also the RESSTOC had to be customized for this application because RESSTOC did not out of the box model centralized multifamily hot water systems. So those are proceeding, and as part of probably a near-term 2025 project that, as I said, it's been going on. And then this is, I don't know if this is a new goal or not, and realize this was sort of developed by, well, we've had it and we've gotten new ideas on best practices as we get more field experience. Definitely some lessons learned, maybe not so much on, I guess I should wait. We got lessons learned in the field, but there are some lessons learned on the modeling as well. So that will be part of the write-up as well.
Hey, Stephen.
Yes.
It looks like we have a question in the chat.
Okay.
Paul Kylo is asking, will the information collected for the multifamily heat pump project translate to the commercial segment, or are there any plans to research the applicability of this technology for commercial customers?
So this is actually being done for a commercial app, or it's being done for multifamily. The data that we're collecting for Energy Plus is generic. It doesn't actually matter the segment. So it should be applicable to all segments. The RESSTOC part is specific to multifamily central hot water systems only. So there's no plan at this point to expand that part. But as far as the Energy Plus modeling, yeah, that should be applicable to all the applications. Did that answer the question, Paul?
He says yes. Yep,
yeah,
we're good.
Okay, good. All right, so the next goal is pool heating. I think we put this in, yeah, unchanged from 2024. So this project is, the first aspect of this project is proceeding. We're working on updating an older tool to allow us to not only look at GHAP, but also solar and GHAP and essentially other combinations of equipment to help understand which is perhaps the best economic approach on this, as well as the best in terms of emissions. So that's sort of the first part of this effort. The other part of it is we're looking into doing some field testing on this as well. And I'll throw, we've got an unrelated, well, it was an unrelated project. I'll mention it a bit, but it may leverage the same tool as well because it's got a pool application. So the next set of goals is HVAC. Any questions on water heating? All right. Next section is HVAC. I think we might have taken something out, but a lot of this is unchanged. As I said, we've had some delays on some of the projects getting implemented. So this is one of them. This is a hydronic fluid additive. This testing is underway. We've had some challenges with customer recruitment, but we're hoping to be able to validate savings from the field testing. Next one is combi systems. We have not currently launched any combi systems. This would primarily be a residential application. Interesting to see that on the electric side, they're looking at heat pump systems and they call it multifunction heat pumps. It looked to me like it's basically the same thing with different terminology, but in the gas world, the term combi has been used. I believe the solar industry also uses the same naming methodology as combi. So anyway, we don't have anything scoped out here, but we've kept it in case a good opportunity comes up. Goal 2.3 is also similar. There's opportunities to look at gas furnace optimization. So there's a large base of gas furnaces within the state, and short of replacement with either like or different technology, there's opportunities to improve performance. So this one has also been carried over to 2025. Any questions on HVAC? Ava, nothing?
Nope, nothing in the chat.
All right, next section is commercial food service. So this is maybe not a lot of goals here. We just got the one, is potentially looking at some field data. Well, we are looking at field data for potential comparison of gas and electric load profiles. That is actually one of these agile projects, and that one is, this is technically for 25, but it's a project that launched at the end of 24, so we're including it just as it wasn't in the scope of 24, and it could lead to something else. Comparing emissions and potential to launch a broader commercial food service study. Any questions on food service, commercial food service?
Nothing yet.
All right. Then I will move on to section 4, which is industrial and agricultural processes. So this was a category we sort of reworked a little bit last year, and I'm not sure we've changed it a lot. We've had a lot of delays. It's challenging to get customers and input in commercial, and it's even more challenging in industrial and maybe less so in ag. But we are getting closer on some of these projects, so we do expect some of this to move forward in 2025. So this is sort of the same objectives we had last year, as I recall. A number of items to look at, both through some field work and through some survey information. And that's moving forward. This one's actually, since we put this out, we've launched the Root Zone Heating Project. So that will be a key part of our ag for 2025, and we're still working on steam trap monitoring, but we're hoping that one launches as well. Goal 4.2 is looking at natural gas end uses within industrial and ag. We're still looking at some studies and potential projects. Right now, there's nothing specific outside of this general goal. Any questions on ag and industrial processes?
No questions.
All right. Okay, moving on to the last category, which is the cross-cutting. This is a category we added last year. I believe, well, I'll go through one by one where we stand on some of these projects. As I said, some of this rolled over. We seem to have had more success on some of these projects actually getting through and moving through sort of the first step of the plan. So we did do an ultra low NOx burner test this year as part of a sort of field/lab demonstration. It's supposedly the world's lowest NOx burner, and we got data quantifying, improved efficiency and improved low NOx and ultra low NOx performance. So potentially going forward is to run with hydrogen and different hydrogen blends and evaluate how it performs under those scenarios. Carbon capture is something we've been discussing for a couple of years. We finally have a project launch in this area. The first project's actually going to be for carbon capture that will not only capture the carbon from direct combustion, but also be capturing carbon from the air as direct air capture. So this one is launched or is launching. And remember how I mentioned in the pool heating section, there was a tieback. So this application doesn't really say it in here, is actually at a site for a pool heater. And we're going to try to sort of combine the output from that pool project with the data from this one to sort of project annualized savings and impacts. And we're also looking at multiple other sites where we could apply this as well. Last one is, and this may be an addition, is hydrogen blending. So as discussed in the appliances commercial area, there are some utilities that are providing hydrogen blends already. So this is potentially something that will expand on a lot of the testing that we do or a lot of the analysis we do. One question that we're looking into is whether there's some analytics that could be done. For those of you who may not be that familiar with the metrics in the IOU programs, the metric, instead of being kilowatt hours or therms, is now called total system benefits, which is essentially the benefits derived from the energy efficiency measure minus the increased cost of doing it, operational cost. A benefit is, as it's written right now, reduction refrigerant, GWP, is a benefit. Removing leaks from the gas system potentially could be one, but it's just a fixed value. There is not a way to adjust for reduced or for carbon capture at this point. So that's something we may look into as well. That would fall under this category. So anyway, the specific goals are reduce emissions of gas-fired equipment. So this is primarily focused on burners in commercial or industrial application. Carbon capture, I just discussed, is essentially, carbon capture on the customer side of the meter. And in this case, it actually works as heat recovery. So you're getting not only the carbon capture, but you are actually getting some low grade heat for either boiler water preheating or for makeup water for your system, hot water system. Third one I just alluded to on the TSB impacts is looking at how hydrogen may impact the TSB relative to 100% natural gas. So that's that's a new category. Any questions on goal 5, which is the cross-cutting category?
No questions.
All right. Well, I've now gone through, I believe, all the goals and all the sort of discussion, the updates. Are there any general questions about the document or where the program is headed conceptually for 2025? And I'm going to stop sharing. We do have a chat item. Oh, that's Paul's question. Any further questions at this point? All right. Well, if there's no further questions, we'll give you back not quite 30 minutes of your time, and appreciate you attending today. And I believe, as Kate indicated, I know this will all get posted on our website. I won't guarantee how quickly, but there will be access to it, and the research plan will also get posted as well once it's been finalized.
Thanks, Stephen. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.